Once again, back at it like a bad habit. It's your boy, Ron Review React. And guess what we reviewing? Smack Volume 8. Watched it. Pretty much watched the whole event. Granted, there was a lot of stuff going on. You had the Canelo Alvarez fight. You had the Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington 2 rematch. So that was pretty dope as well. But between all that and whipping my homeboys in 2K, I was able to get this card watched, and we're going to go ahead and review that today. All in all, let me just say the event was okay. I do feel like there's been a lot of battles as of recently. I'm not getting fatigued on it, but it's starting to become work to review all these events back to back to back. It's a lot of content that downloading into my brain. Like, it's a lot. So that being said, this might be a little bit out of order, but I'm going to just get through it. This is going to be one of my shorter videos. You're welcome. But let's start off. Ars versus Loso. Probably should have did this yesterday when it was fresh. But that being said, we finna get through it. Arsenal versus Loso. Loso's first was pretty decent. Arsenal's first was decent. It was a pretty balanced matchup. But in all honesty, and I'm seeing this a lot, people are using their battles to set up the next battle, which I'm not against. But when you have a formidable opponent like Loso in front of you, you want to tailor-made make some bars to him. Like, I get it, using a couple bars, maybe 4 bars in a round to take shots at somebody else, cool. But I noticed that Arsenal's rounds, each of them had a substantial part that was dedicated to Murder Mook, which is like, well, you're not battling him right now. You got Loso on your agenda. He's right in front of you. Why are you overlooking him to get to the next person? So that kind of, it kind of makes your round structure seem like it's not very focused or centered in on what you're supposed to be doing. And maybe setting up that Mook battle, because that's a bag, is what he was supposed to be doing. But that being said, I'm going to have to give this one to Los. I'll say 2-1 Los, with the first being debatable. It could be a 30 for Los. I think the first was probably Arsenal's best round, maybe the second, but like trying to recall it, 2-1 Los, if not a 30 for Los, just because, like I said, Arsenal's rounds weren't really tailored that much. Like, he basically shared a battle with Mook, and Mook wasn't even there. So I got Loso getting the victory on that one. JC versus Serious Jones. This was kind of a surprise. I did not think Serious Jones, being that he recently got smacked up in a car accident, I didn't think he was going to have the time to prep and to get his stuff off against an opponent like JC, who's also had some time off for another issue outside of battle rap. Lord rest the dead. I think he buried somebody in his family, if I'm not mistaken. But having that time off to sit and think and to stew, versus Serious Jones, who really recently got into a car accident and was posting photos like the week of and stuff in the hospital. You know what I mean? I did not think he was going to come out there and perform as well as he did, and to take the battle. To me, this is a 30 piece for Serious Jones. Like, let's not beat around the bush. Jones got a 30 piece on JC. JC's material, like, it's so stretched out and so drawn out that sometimes it does come out like a lot of filler, and I get it. It's intricate, but the punchline at the end doesn't shake the room all the time. Like, and when you have those intricate bars that your filler don't really shake the room, and your punchline ending it off doesn't shake the room, it just comes off as a dry, iffy spot. Like, oh yeah, there was some lyrics there, but was it really saying much? Was it really worth listening to the 8 bars that set up to get to this? And I feel like he suffered from that a lot. You know, recently signing to EFB, or not signing, but joining EFB, every fucking bar that might have been a little bit of pressure on him and the other new recruit, because in all honesty, they did not have their strongest showing, if not their weakest showing as of recently. And I'm going to use that to segue right into Av versus B-Dot, the other newest member of EFB. Every fucking bar. Av got beat bad. Probably a 30. Like, this was a different B-Dot. And this is an example of somebody who's an intricate lyricist that in this battle, even his filler was fire. When you have fire filler and your punchline is a room shaker as well, that's how you do it, being a lyrical miracle nigga, as they want to call it. You got to have really good, intriguing fire setup to a room-shaking haymaker if you want to keep their attention span through all those bars. And B-Dot, who is a very dense rapper, and when I say that, I say it like his 4 bars is like 8 bars for a normal rapper. Like, there's so much in his bars, but he's able to keep it interesting. Well, he did in this one at least. His filler bars were very interesting, very intriguing, lightweight fire. And then when he went to the punch, it shook shit straight up. And another thing with Av, I don't know, maybe he needs to hit the gym or something, but there was a lot of like, I get bringing it back, but he would say 2 bars and then bring it back. Like, his breath control ain't where it should be. He might need to consider upping his cardiovascular exercises and intakes, because his performance overall was sloppy. But I don't want to say that if Av would have got through his material cleanly, that he would have took that from B-Dot, because B-Dot was wigging. So I got B-Dot with the 30. That being said, let's go to DNA King Los. This is the one battle that's debatable. Lyrical Miracle niggas was kind of showing out a little bit today. They really were. They stole the show, and I get it. That's the vibe with the volume kind of setting. You want those Lyrical Miracle niggas to be in it. And they kind of held their own for the most part. DNA and King Los, that's going to be the first debatable one of the night. Because if you're really fucking with King Los material, you're gonna edge it to King Los. If you're fucking with DNA's material, you're probably gonna edge it to DNA. I was fucking with both of their material, in all honesty. What I say is King Los had 3 solid, good rounds. And he probably did better than most expected. Like, there was no building up to a level. Like, he came out at a 7.5, 8, and he stayed that consistently through each of his 3 rounds. Whereas DNA, it seems like it took him a round and a half to really start getting into his bag. Like, I feel like DNA didn't start wigging until halfway through his 2nd round, and then he kept that. So it's like you got King Los, who's like at a 7.5, 8 for 3 straight rounds, and you got DNA, who started out at maybe a 5 being average, to maybe a 6. Getting into the 2nd round at the start, maybe a 7, but then halfway through, he goes up to an 8, 8.5, maybe a 9, but by the time he gets to his 3rd round, he's at a 9, wigging. So I have to say, this might be one that I could call a draw. I may edge King Los, just because his material, like his second he was talking to him in his first. That whole what happened to smack scheme that he did was fire from the first. So I would have to probably edge it 2-1 King Los first and the second. DNA got the 3rd. The first was clear and the 3rd was clear. The 2nd is where it's going to be debatable. Moving right along, we got Chilla, Kid Chaos. Strong showing for Kid Chaos. Really strong showing for Chilla. I will say Chilla's haymakers shook shit. When Chilla was landing his haymakers, they were all shaking shit. His build up to him was pretty good as well. Kid Chaos, he was one that stayed at that consistent 7, 7.5. the whole time. His haymakers weren't shaking stuff as much. This is going to be somewhat debatable, but I would probably maybe off first watch, I might have to edge Chilla. He had the first Henry Ruggs bar that I've heard since that tragic situation that happened. And I don't want to be smiling because it is kind of soon for it, but that bar was hard AF. That Ruggs bar that he said was, let me not say fire, but was hard. That bar was hard. So I'm probably going to edge Chilla the first and the second. Edge Chilla the first and the second. Another fan vote gave it to Kid Chaos, and I could, debatable, but I'm going to edge Chilla. Lastly, Averb Head Ice. This battle, honestly, I believe I missed the second round of both of them because the app started kind of acting out a little bit for me, or the Wi-Fi was messing up, or whatever the case is. So I only got to see the first and the third from each of those battlers, and it was enough because what I saw, Verb was kind of going back to vintage Verb. Verb had a really good, solid showing in this one. I got Verb the first and the third for sure. I don't know where the second one ranks up. Head Ice seemed like he was kind of stuck in first gear, never started shifting gears and getting into it. Meanwhile, Averb came out trying to give you a little bit of what you remember him for before his current rough patch in battle rap. He was trying to give you some vintage Verb, some I'm eating meat and chicken and burgers Verb, you know. Do I think he achieved that? Not 100%, but he was probably like a good 80% Verb, and it was pretty convincing that he won this. It could be a 30 piece. I'm hearing a lot of people saying Verb 30 to Ice. I didn't see the second round. I'm gonna have to watch it back on the replay and re-go over this one since it's a main event or something. But from what I saw, I know for a fact it's 2-0 Verb, debatably a 30. Because what I'm hearing is Verb didn't let off. But it's been another one. Quick, nice little fast review. Well, 12 minutes, not all that quick, but I tried to get through it. This has been another one. Ron Review React. Like, click, subscribe, share. Follow me on my social media platforms. They'll be posted in the link. And another one. We out of here.